Good morning. Today is August 7, and we're still talking about purity and lies. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 1 and 2, and then 8 and 9. Now concerning the things of which you wrote to me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, because of sexual immorality, let each man have his own wife, and let each woman have her own husband. But I say to the unmarried and to the widows, verse 8, it is good for them if they remain even as I am. But if they cannot exercise self-control, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn with passion. The fifth lie we are looking at today is we are getting married anyway. That is great. Then surely you must want to build your marriage on a foundation of obedience to the Lord and respect for one another. If you are a Christian and you love your spouse to be, you must want the best for him or her. Following God's commands is always the best. A healthy Christian marriage consists of two people who are committed to obedience to Christ above all. God cannot bless sin. So if you choose to build your marriage on sin rather than on obedience to Christ, you will reap the consequences of that sin rather than enjoy the blessings of God. You can read Matthew chapter 7 about building on the rock and on the sand. Many people become engaged multiple times before they actually marry. So if you believe that lie, that sex is okay between two Christians who are engaged, then you must believe that it is acceptable to fornicate with each new fiancé. Obviously, that is not in the plan of God for your life. In God's eyes, sexual intercourse is a privilege belonging only to a man and a woman who have committed their lives to one another in marriage. They share their bodies because they have first vowed before God to permanently share their lives, hearts, and spirits. This is not something to be taken lightly. If abstinence is a problem for you because your spouse-to-be is not a Christian, you should seriously reconsider your decision to marry that person. The Bible is clear on that point, that Christians should not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 from verse 14. If you are a committed Christian, you will have to choose between Jesus and your spouse at some point, because the two will eventually clash. It is better to choose Jesus now, because the decision will be far more excruciating if you marry. We shall continue tomorrow. Stay blessed.